Hi. We're in the finale. I don't understand how I got here. Quite honestly, I didn't think I would quite honestly make it past like 10. So like to be in the end game is like so fucking wild to me. Um yeah, end game is here, end game is nigh. I've officially made it to Final Four. Um yeah, so I just wanted to quickly check in and like not really hype myself up, but like try and build my confidence through, talking to you guys, talking to myself, and like really proving why I think I deserve to be here and, why I think I ultimately deserve to win if I make it to the end, which is looking pretty likely at this point. So, Risa ends up going home and like this is the first time I've voted in the minority and ultimately my preferred choice, barring idle plays, has not gone home. I wanted Umar or Kit to go home that round, obviously, with Zola, acknowledging that taking her out was her best path to the end. Absolutely, I hear, I understand where Zola's coming from, and while it's frustrating, I definitely I acknowledge that she made a good move and she's setting herself up really well for the end game. She still wants to go to the end with me and Gwen, and I think she definitely believes that that's her easiest path to win. Um, so, kudos to her for making the right decision for her game. Even Risa admitted that she was making the right decision, and I think, having that knowledge that Risa is like proud of Zola for making this decision and making the right move for her game, I think that really builds Zola's threat level in my head, and I think that Zola is probably a bigger jury threat than, you know, I've always thought that she was going to be a big jury threat. I pegged her as the dark horse in the Majority Rules Challenge. But this just like settles the deal that I know she's going to be threatening no matter what she tries to tell me. Um, so this morning I get a really long message. Zola puts Gwen and I in a group chat with her, and she's basically giving us bullet point lists about why we should keep her and vote out either Umar or Kit. Um, it was it was interesting. I think all three of them are going to be making pleas to me, and making pleas to get my vote. Um, at this point in time, um, Kit's also messaged me and made a very extended pitch. And then Umar hasn't messaged me at all, which is unsurprising and sort of makes me want to go to the end with him so I can just point out how bad of a player he is. No, I like Umar. I just like, I don't under, I think he's taken this time off instead of really like, putting in those last minute, last ditch efforts with jury management. Like I'm trying to do, I am trying to, if I vote out Kit this round, I want to make sure that I am on a good standing with Kit. If I vote out Zola, I want to make sure that I explain to her clearly why I think that she's the best person for me to vote out. If I vote out Umar, I want to do the same. I don't think Umar's necessarily on the same wavelength, um, but we'll get to that in a little bit. The immunity challenge is endurance. I thought I did really bad at the endurance, and like on my first try, I got around 18 minutes. Um, but it turns out that 18 minutes was enough to take the win. And I was like so proud of myself. I wasn't really expecting it. I think I overestimated the fact that they were like, the max is 3 hours. And I was like, I'm going to go as far as I can. I'm going to go to all 3 hours, man. And then like I finished with 18 minutes and I was like, oh fuck. I really did shit. So super grateful that the endurance wasn't too time consuming but it was still, I mean, who am I kidding? I was so stressed during that challenge, and like it was so reliant on how good your internet was. And my internet's not great, especially in my bedroom, where the internet goes out like every 5 seconds. But it came out in the end, so you know, hindsight 2020, this was the best challenge ever because I won it. I won it. This is my first challenge win. Besides immunity or tribal immunity. block immunities. Excuse me, it's late. It's 12:20. So yeah, I end up winning. Even before then, Kit was sending me long messages about why I should be keeping him, and he even mentions potentially bringing him and Umar to the end so they can split votes. And, I was basically like, I can't make any promises that I'm not going to vote for you this round. And I think he took that as, I'm voting for you this round. I'm just not telling it to you to your face until immunity happens. But I literally, I haven't committed to voting for anybody. I haven't committed to a plan because taking these votes takes time. And I'm not a player that thinks 5 steps in advance. I'm a reactive player. And I react to what I think and what I feel. And, I think that Umar, Kit, and Zola are all equally big threats in different ways. And that's why he was like, you can, take me to the end and I think you'll have an easy victory because I won't get any votes. And obviously that's a lie on his behalf. It's clearly like he's going to get votes and he's a threat in the jury. But I feel that way about everybody. I don't feel at all comfortable that because I have a good story, I'm gonna win the game. I think ultimately I have a good shot, but I'm still a long shot. I think I could win if I pull on the right heartstrings, try not to sound too whiny, and, prove that my strategic game outweighs some of the social mistakes that I made through my blindsides. At this point, I don't have any intention of voting out Gwen. I think she's probably the easiest person to beat out of the 4 other people in the game. But I just want to, I haven't prepped what I'm going to say, so who knows how long this is going to be. But I want to go through step by step between Zola, Umar, and Kit on why I think, the benefits to taking them out are. These are going to be pretty broad. I mean, I think I could go so in depth, but I'm not going to. Let's start with Kit, because Kit's fresh on the mind. Kit's perception in this game has been that he has been the biggest threat since day one. And, I get that, and I agree with that. You have to look at the game and say, hey, this person was such a big threat throughout the entire game. How did he make it to the end? And that's definitely going to be a compelling argument for him to make if he makes it to Final Tribal. And, everybody is, always been pretty clear that, Kit wins if he makes it to the end. And, I don't feel sold on that idea. And maybe I'm the biggest idiot for saying so. But, at the end of the day, his threat level was circumstantial. And in this game, I can't point to anything that says this is why he is such a big threat. And this is why, Nathaniel was targeting him, Quincy was targeting him, all these people were targeting him. I think threat level can only do so much in terms of deciding who played the best game. I was not a big threat. I was somebody who, at the beginning of the merge, I admitted to people that I felt expendable, and in many ways I was, because I was almost voted out in the first round of the merge. In the pair vote with Quincy, people are saying it's more about Quincy than it is about you. However, that means that, we are, out of everybody in our group, we are most willing to sacrifice you. And that's not a good feeling. And even extending into the next round, I was still among the targets of the game. So it's just difficult in the sense that I have not been a threat in the sense that people have been saying, we need to get this person out. But does that matter so much? Does Kit being a big threat in the game matter so much when the objective of Final Tribal Council or Final Dismissal, is to look at the game and say, this person deserves to win because of the moves and decisions that they made, not because of the perception that everybody had of them. See, I don't feel threatened by Kit in a final tribal situation because I think I have a stronger argument of the path I took to get here. And while I do think that Kit was a strong player, clearly, if he made it to the end with a threat level like the one that he had, I think that people should, and I will argue this if I go to the end with Kit, that you need to look at more than just who is the biggest threat. Was Kit the best player in the game? From my perspective, he wasn't. I think that there are other better players than him in the game who made better strategic decisions. And I think one of my biggest arguments is I always felt closer to Petra than I did to Kit. The reason I wanted to save Kit in the round that Danny went home was because I felt connected to Petra and I knew that I could use that. Repay the favor that she gave me when she saved me the round prior, but also make decisions that were good for my game in the sense that I was spicing up my decisions. And it was making sure that I wasn't just following along with whatever plan that was presented to me. On occasion, I had to create my own plans. So that's that on Kit. I think obviously with all three of them, beating them will be an uphill battle. But I think I could make an argument with Kit as my opponent, as my challenger, that I think could be compelling. Let's go in the alphabet. Umar's next. I think when I look at my game and I look at Umar's game, I see a lot of similarity in the sense that we were both very strategic-minded and not very social-minded. Just looking at the messages I've received from Umar recently, I think obviously he has a social hustle, but part of me... Oh my gosh, scenery change, welcome to my living room. We were just talking about Umar. I think, Umar's social game has been poor in a lot of ways that mine has also been poor. I think we've both made blindsides that might have rubbed people the wrong way. The reason I think that I could win over Umar is because, I've had constant control and smart positioning in ways that, a lot of my moves, I think, were made to better my positioning and, make me not appear as the GOAT that I was perceived to be in the beginning of the merge. I look to a lot of what Umar's done, and I see a lot of moves that are flashy for the sake of being flashy. And, I think I look back to when Zola and I were talking about right after I voted out Orion, after I told her that Umar and I did not have the same plan, we did not coordinate with one another, I think she definitely took my side a little bit. Maybe because she thought she had a better shot at getting me back than getting Umar back. But that's neither here nor there. I think she definitely believed that I was making a rational move. Although, did she think I was making a rational move? I was bettering my position and influence in the game, while maintaining a middle position. I don't think that Umar did the same thing. And when I look back to the live round, I definitely see how Umar flat out rejected the other side because he had the idol to keep him safe. And I think definitely the idols that he found are to be applauded. Neither of the idols were played correctly, although the second one did have a huge impact on people's decisions. So I think we have similarities in the strategic game that we played, but we played the strategic game that we did for different reasons. And I think that my reasons are more admirable than Umar's. And as far as social game, I think I've picked up on my social game and I've picked up the hustle. Meanwhile, I think Umar's has depleted a little bit. He might have Kit and Petra feeling good, and Maddie, but I don't see really anybody else that's feeling really comfortable with Kit. Last but not least is Zola. Sorry, I'm going way over time. Zola. I think that, as I said in the beginning, I pegged Zola as a dark horse so early on that I think I'd be very stupid to bring her to the end. And like, I love Zola so much, and she has been, a rock in the game for me. But also at the end of the day, when I think back to when Reza was saying, it's okay if you vote me out, Zola, like, I understand it was the right move. That was out of admiration, too. And Zola clearly has had an objective. She hasn't had to lie to people or deceive people. She has been honest. And, I look back to including Gwen and Umar in the Kit and Petra blindside, including Reza and Orion in the Danny blindside. She didn't want to play the game by lying and deceiving, and I think that that's what makes her such a big threat in my eyes. And, I struggle trying to think of ways that I can counteract and say you should vote for me over her. Because honestly, I'd want to vote for Zola. And this is what's making this decision at 5 so difficult. Because I think there's a chance I don't make it to the end if I take out Zola here. I think there's a chance that Kit and Umar, team up in this round, or team up at the Final Four, go to fire making and take me out. I think I could hold my own in a tiebreaker challenge, but still. And then the other option is, if I tell them that I'm interested in voting Zola, they can just point the finger at Gwen and say to Zola, let's just all 3 of us vote out Gwen. And then I'm really in deep trouble at Final Tribal because I have to combat not just 1 huge threat, but then 2, if I even make it there in the first place, if it's not 3 against 1 in the challenge and I lose and I go home. There are so many things that need to be taken into account here, and like, I feel good about my chances. I feel confident. I can't afford to feel anything but confident. I think I'd either want to take Kit or Umar to the end, but if I don't take the shot at Zola here, and she wins immunity next round, she wins immunity the Takedo challenge, I don't know how I come back from that. I beat her by 1 minute here, and like, I don't know how I feel about fate, but like, if it's anything, that is fate telling me like, yo, like, she almost beat you and she almost ran her way to the end on immunities. Maybe you should consider targeting her. So that's just like where my head's at. Whew, I don't know how many more of these I'm going to be doing, honestly. Like, oh my gosh. It has been such a long journey and such a stressful journey. And like, I wish I could say the stress has all been fun, but like, some of the early merge in particular was a deep hole for me, and like, while I'm looking back on it now and I'm like acknowledging that I'm a stronger person for it, like, I can't, it was just so stressful, but I think I know I can come out and guns blazing, make it to this final tribal. My 4th final tribal in an Alias game in a row, by the way, if I make it, which I think is pretty impressive. But yeah, I think I can craft a narrative that, shows the rebuilding of confidence that I've had. And, I think as, somebody who isn't excellent at the strategic game, my win in Good and Evil was definitely not on the basis of my strategic game at all. It was on the basis of my social game and my positioning and the story I was able to craft at Final Tribal. I think if I could do something similar here and add the strategic elements that I was missing in the very tight race in McMahon, I think I can come out with a victory. I don't know. Maybe I'm delusional, and maybe y'all are laughing at me in the viewers' lounge and in the Edgic. Maybe I've been on the bottom for a really long time, but, I'll be confident for now, until proven otherwise, until Tuesday when all the questions start going up. I'm sorry, this was like 20 minutes, but I had a lot to say, had a lot of scenarios to run through. I'm still not fully decided on what I want to do, so I'm going to chat with you guys later, but thanks for watching again. And if I don't see you again, see you later. Bye bye.